Time to talk up some USC football. We bring in Josh. See, there you go.
I like it.
I always do these live, but I think I'm getting too used to the records.
I know, right?
All right, we're talking up some USC football with Josh Eccles from Conquest Chronicles. You can catch him right there on the SB Nation platform for USC Athletics. Josh, a first-time appearance here on Mark Rogers TV. Thanks for joining the show here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm really excited to be here.
Good stuff. USC coming off a Cotton Bowl loss. That's the down part. The up part is winning the Pac-12 for the first time since 2008. Seems as though to me that many of the fringe USC fans, the people that didn't really understand the nuts and bolts of the program and the team, expected a bit too much with that preseason ranking coming off the Rose Bowl win and expectations of a playoff and a national championship. What were your thoughts about the way the season concluded and compared to what your expectations were back in September?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. You had a lot of people coming into the season, 2017 season, with very high expectations, especially with that Rose Bowl performance. And having Sam Darnold at quarterback, he's a surefire first rounder. So obviously, with the fringe fans, it was definitely high expectations. But, for those of us that are more in tune to the team, we saw a lot of weak points, and those sort of came to fruition as the season came along. And, offensive line play, just shaky. It's just like, yeah, everything that sort of went wrong that we thought could go wrong went wrong. So, yeah, I don't know. I sort of expected a little less from the team in 2017, and they surpassed my expectations. So I'm thinking that 2018 is probably going to be, with all the players that have gone, Rasheem Green, Sam Darnold, Ronald Jones, 2018 is probably going to be around what I expected for 2017, honestly. Probably seven or eight wins or so.
Josh, in terms of who's being lost, you mentioned three of the big names right there. Obviously, college football fans know about Ronald Jones and Sam Darnold in particular, Rasheem Green as well. So in looking at the reinforcements, looking at the guys that are going to be counted upon to fill in those gaps, where do you think USC might be well reinforced with some of the guys coming up through the system versus what might continue to be weak spots based on what they were in 2017 and also based on these losses?
Well, I think at receiver will be pretty much be the same core. You lose Deontay Burnett, but other than that, you still have a lot of young guys that were playing in 2017. Look to them to step up in 2018. Tyler Vaughns, Jalen Green. If they can have big seasons, that can really turn a lot of things around for 2018. Stephen Carr is another player that we saw get a lot of playing time behind Ronald Jones. Look to him to step up as well. And then, I mean, the big question is quarterback. Who's going to take Sam Darnold's place? Are they going to go with like a Matt Fink, Jack Sears, sort of guys that have been there for a season? We've seen Jake Fromm, what he did as a true freshman in a national championship game. Does JT Daniels do the same thing? Because I think a new trend in college football is going to be coaches taking a little bit more chances with true freshmen now that we've seen what they can do on the big stage. So, I mean, that could be interesting. If he has a solid spring, I would keep my eyes out for that as well.
Yeah, these guys coming up through the high school ranks are prepped so much, going to all these camps and these elite high school programs prepare them for the next level. It's not much of an issue. Of course, experience is still a determining factor many times when you got a kid on campus and maybe he redshirts and he's been in the system and been playing day in, day out against athletes at his level. But even going to Deshaun Watson, he had a tremendous rookie campaign. Jalen Hurts, despite his passing limitations as a freshman, led Alabama to a national championship. We could sit here and go on and on and on. Josh Rosen at UCLA certainly hit his stride very early and took the reins from day one as well. In terms of what you know about Sears and Fink versus JT Daniels coming into the system, how would you characterize each quarterback in regards to their strengths and what they bring to the table?
Well, I mean, with Fink and Sears, you have two guys that have sort of been there. They've been around the offense. They've been working with, Helton and Martin in terms of getting the playbook down. So, I mean, that would be a really easy transition. I hate it when people throw around the term game manager for a quarterback, but those would be a little bit safer picks in terms of the 2018 season and trying to transition from what was supposed to be a playoff contender to this team has a lot of young talent, but still a lot of holes. So, I mean, if they're not, I personally would love to see JT Daniels, see what he has, as would everybody else. But if they're going to go with one of the other two, I would go with Matt Fink. He's a little older, a little more experienced with the offense, just being around the guys in the locker room. And I think Clay Helton would probably trust him more. I mean, this is entirely conjecture, obviously, because we don't know what the spring is going to hold. But I would love to see JT Daniels, and if not JT Daniels, I think Matt Fink has probably the best chance at being the starter in 2018.
JT Daniels committed last July, has yet to officially sign. He's still a hard commit, and it would be very unlikely that he would choose and opt to go anywhere else. He's the second-rated pro-style quarterback, according to 247 Sports, in the 2018 class. And speaking of which, a very small class at this point in terms of numbers for USC in 2018. Of course, the early signing period, much was expected or conjectured about what that would mean, how much these schools would depend on getting out there, getting guys signed early. And it turned out that roughly 85% for the big schools were signed in the early signing period versus the number of slots that they have overall. So this has almost turned into the primary signing period in year one versus what we're going to see the first week of February. But teams still have slots open, and based on USC's numbers with only, I believe, 11 signed, but a number of hard commits, this is still an extremely important time for them to shore up their recruiting class, because the quality is exceptional, but the numbers aren't quite there for 2018.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you do see some big names on that list of short list, but the likes of butchering names is going to be a thing for a lot of these players.
Once they get into the system, we'll hold you accountable. But right now, yeah, none of us have any idea, Josh. We're just taking a shot in the dark.
Yeah. The middle linebacker, Palai Jotiote. I mean, he was sort of like the gem of the whole nation, and I mean, for the USC to swoop up on him and sort of let him play behind Cameron Smith for 2018, and sort of have Cam Smith just show him sort of what it's like to be a USC linebacker. I think that's big. We should all be very excited about that. And then I mean, I would like to see more help on the offensive line, because that was a hole last year. And you have Justin Diedick, who's going to be the center, but it's a 4-star recruit. He's going to be good, but I don't know. It's a little worrisome that it's only 11 signed right now. It's going to be big and very interesting to see what USC does next couple months. But it's going to be a young team. It'll be fun though.
Yeah, when you look at the hard commits, and then you also combine that with the guys that have already signed, almost everybody on this list is top 10 nationally at their positions. So again, the quality's there. And Clay Helton will be looking to fill out the numbers here in the next few weeks to get set for that first Wednesday in February. When you look at Clay Helton, what are your thoughts, Josh, concerning Clay Helton? He comes in late in 2015. Can't really judge the late season performance there. They lose to Stanford. They lose a bowl game to Wisconsin, but he's just trying to, bridge the dam and hold things together there after the Steve Sarkisian debacle. And then 2016 looks like it's going to be a rough ride. They get off to the slow start. They have to run into Alabama and Stanford early. Then they go on the great ride and win the Rose Bowl. And then last season, despite maybe missing out on the college football playoff and missing some expectations nationally, they do win the Pac-12 for the first time in a long, long time, 2008. Your assessment of Clay Helton, it strikes me in talking to USC contributors like yourself and also hearing what the fans say is that Clay Helton's not necessarily, despite some of the accomplishments here, Rose Bowl win, Pac-12 championship, not the most liked guy in USC, and maybe wanting somebody else or a bigger name, a more accomplished head coach.
Yeah, I mean, I've been one of those that has been a little harsh on Coach Helton. I mean, you see there. I mean, there have been a couple instances where it seems like he's being outcoached during games. So, for a team that's trying to make a deep playoff run and sort of go over the hump and to be considered a championship contender, I do think that eventually there needs to be a change at the head coaching position. But I mean, for the time being, I think Clay Helton's great. He provides stability for the program, which is in recent years wasn't something that USC really had. So, I mean, while I think in order for USC to win a championship, there may need to be a different head coach during this time of transition and sort of, solidifying the foundation of the program. Clay Helton is the perfect guy for it. But I do think that, yeah, like I said before, there should probably needs to be a change within the next 2 or 3 years or so.
Really? So you'd keep Clay Helton now? You think he's okay for this particular phase of the program building, but you don't think he can ultimately get it done?
Yeah,
I guess winning a national championship's ultimately getting it done. I guess I should clarify that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know if he really has. I mean, it's hard for me to be harsh on the guy because I've never met him, don't know him. I just don't know. I mean, all these coaches that are coming into the Pac-12, Chip Kelly, Kevin Sumlin, I just don't know if he has the acumen to outcoach them in a game. You know what I'm saying? So the talent could be there, but it just comes down to like game management and all that stuff. And I think that honestly, at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to win a national championship with USC, which is no knock on the guy. It's just that's the way. It's LA. It's Hollywood. They're going to need a big name at some point.
Okay, very good. Josh Eccles from Conquest Chronicles. You can join him and the rest of the staff there covering USC sports across the board, and of course our focus on football there. Again, Josh working with SB Nation. Josh, we appreciate you dropping by and breaking down the Trojans for us.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Fight on.